and welcome to another episode of Classroom. These past few days, there's one sector that's really come to light for various reasons, and that one is pharmaceuticals. It's been lying low for a long time, but it's a major constituent in the stock market, and perhaps it's time to understand better what exactly it is that drives this industry and what the various moving parts of it might be. There's two gentlemen who track the space very carefully who join in to help us understand that. Vikas Dandekar, India Bureau Chief of PharmAsiaNews.com, and Joy Shetty, Associate Director of Pharma Life Sciences, PwC. Gentlemen, great to have both of you on the show. So, Classroom kicks off with definitions. The only problem with pharmaceuticals is that there's varied definitions. So, let's start with a bottom-up approach of what the various characteristics of the Indian pharma industry might be. Vikas, let me start with you with the most basic tier or layer first, APIs. What do they constitute and what do they make?
Basically, all the medicines that we pop whenever we are sick come from APIs, which is active pharmaceutical ingredients, which are made from intermediates. So there are stages in which the medicine that reaches us goes through from intermediates to APIs, which is basically the raw material that is used into a formulation or a medicine. So API, simply put, is the raw material that goes into making a medicine what it is. It's active ingredient. And that's how, the whole medicine is prepared.
Any examples that come to mind, Vikas? And is this more or less a lower rung of the pharma life cycle?
Oh, absolutely. This is where actually the start happens. For instance, if you talk about a crocin, it's made from an API called paracetamol. And paracetamol, is a generic term. So once you have the paracetamol, it's bound into a tablet, and that tablet can be branded as anything from crocin to even a Calpol. It's all paracetamol. This probably is a basic example. There are so many other active ingredients like citalopram is an active ingredient used for antidepressant. Like fluoxetine is used for a Prozac, which is an antidepressant, a big hit blockbuster. So these active ingredients make a product. Not necessarily that every product will have just one ingredient, active ingredient. There could be a mix of several active ingredients, and we call them as fixed drug combinations.
Joy, how large would you say this part of the business is of the entire Indian pharma industry, and would it be fair to say this is largely an unorganized kind of business?
No, there's actually a lot of players, predominantly in Hyderabad, small companies who make active pharmaceutical ingredients, and India is pretty good at that and has been a success story in exports of API. We do face a lot of competition from China, and it is certainly a big part of the industry. Hard to quantify, but some people put the number somewhere between 3 to 5 billion in the overall scheme of things.
Okay, part two then, and let me give you the definition this time, Joy, is formulations. How would you define that from the Indian context?
Okay, formulations, so taking the analogy which Vikas gave, you take the raw materials and you bind them together into a tablet, or you insert them in a capsule. So formulations is the act of making that dosage form, whether it's a tablet, a capsule, an ointment, a cream, an injection. Those are formulations because you formulate that product. You take these active pharmaceutical ingredients, then you mix them with what's called excipients, which are sugar and things like that, to make it palatable for you to metabolize that in your body. And you construct that end form in which you consume it into your body, whether it's a tablet or a capsule, or it's a sterile or a parenteral or a topical which you, apply on your skin. All these activities of making those kind of dosage forms are called formulations.
Vikas, let me ask you to draw a line between formulations and branded formulations then, and give me a couple of quick examples from the stock market itself on which companies fall under this category.
If you look at formulations in India, every product is a brand, because in India we have a segment called branded generic. So while every product is a generic, because we have very few patented products here, so every product is a brand, and every company markets a generic in form of a brand. So for instance, in ciprofloxacin, we have a Ciplox of Cipla. We have a Ciprobid of Cadila. We have a Cifran of Ranbaxy. All of these are brands, but these are all off patent. So we call it as branded generics. All of these are again branded formulations. The whole definition will change in the US, because in the US they have all the products under product patent, And so whichever product is being launched there which is off patent or have the patents expired, that will be launched as a ciprofloxacin. So it's a generic there. So that's the difference between a branded formulation and a generic.
So Joy, it would be fair to say generics constitute the core of Indian pharma industry?
That is correct. Our biggest advantage and strength of the Indian pharma industry, that which has put India on the global map, is generics. And by that I mean the word generic is applied to a drug which when it goes off patent, you refer to it by its chemical name. In all the examples which Vikas just gave, for example, if there's a brand called Viagra, when it goes off patent, people will refer to it by its chemical composition, sildenafil citrate, for example. That term is widely known as generic because it's now generic. You can substitute one for the other because you're basically using one chemical for another chemical. And in that, India has been exceptionally successful since 1970. And so that's the heart of the Indian pharmaceutical manufacturing industry.
Okay, gentlemen, we need to take a break. We tried to punch in a lot in this segment on the world of pharmaceuticals. When we come back, what is perhaps considered the more sexy space in the pharma industry, CRAMs and research. Also, what's the whole FDA talk about? We'll tell you when we return.